Well, starting off from the United States of America, where U.S. President Donald Trump reignited his trade war by threatening more than a dozen countries with higher tariffs, but also signaled flexibility on his new August deadline. The U.S. president unveiled higher tariffs for Japan, South Korea, and a dozen other countries in a push for new trade deals. The White House has said that several deals were in the pipeline, but only two have been finalized so far, with Britain and Vietnam. Trump signed an executive order delaying the previous July 9th deadline to reach tariff deals, now extended to August 1st. But he later said that he was open to extensions if countries made proposals.
I would say firm. No, I would say firm, but not 100% firm. If they call up and they say, would like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that. But essentially, that's the way it is right now, yeah.
Trump announced the latest tariffs in near-identical letters, first sent to Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and then to South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. He said trade ties with both the countries are far from reciprocal and time is running out to cut better deals.
I have the signed letters that went out to both South Korea and Japan today, and there will be approximately 12 other countries that will receive notifications and letters directly from the President of the United States. And weeks ago, I stood at this podium and I told all of you that the President was going to create tailor-made trade plans for each and every country on this planet, and that's what this administration continues to be focused on.
Trump issued similar letters to countries including Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, South Africa and Malaysia, saying that he would slap duties on their goods ranging from 25% to 40%. According to letters posted to Trump's Truth Social platform, goods from Indonesia will face a 32% tariff, while the level for Bangladesh is 35% and Thailand 36%. Most countries receiving letters so far had duties similar or unchanged from threatened rates in April, although some like Laos and Cambodia see notably lower levels. Reacting to new tariff, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said on Sunday that he will not easily compromise in trade talks with Washington. South Africa is also facing 30% trade tariff under the latest announcement. Trump has also threatened another 10% tariff on countries aligning themselves with the emerging BRICS nations. South Africa is a BRICS nation. President Cyril Ramaphosa condemned the latest tariff move by Trump, saying that efforts to punish the bloc were disappointing. Ramaphosa added, "It cannot be that might should now be right." And well, for more on this and to talk to us more about Trump's latest tariff deadline, we are now being joined by Greg Swenson, who is a foreign affairs analyst and an economist, joining us live from Italy here on Race to Power. Welcome to WION, Mr. Swenson. First up, of course, what do you make of Trump time and again shifting the tariff deadline, and what will actually happen on August 1st?
Well, I think it just shows that the president can be flexible. The president can pivot when he realizes that something is not realistic. And I think it was somewhat unrealistic to think we could get all of these trade deals done in such a short amount of time. But I also think it means that he is serious about holding our trading partners accountable for their protectionist or mercantilist trade behavior. And that's really what's driving this process. It's not just the trade deficits that we have with many of our trading partners, but it's just the unfairness. It's free trade, but it's not fair trade. And I think Japan is probably the best example of that, and that's why he specifically called out Japan in the last few days about some of their really hostile tariffs that they have on American goods.
All right, Mr. Swenson, but what do you make of Trump sending out letters while negotiations are underway rather than giving out the statements? What do you make of that tactic?
Yeah, I think it's another, the president likes to be provocative. He likes to get things done. He's always about the end game. What's the goal here? And the goal is to get to bring our trading partners back to the negotiating table, but also to end up with deals that are free and fair. So, I don't think we're going to see some of the really high tariffs that were threatened initially in early April. But I do think that he has to impose some tariffs, not only to bring some balance to the trade deficits or surpluses, but also some of the real extreme cases, like some of the auto tariffs that are way too high on American exports, especially in agriculture. We're exporting rice to Japan, for example, with 300% tariffs. I mean, it's pretty outrageous to think that there was a lot of there was a lot of criticism of the president when he imposed these 25% tariffs, and yet we have 300% tariffs on U.S. rice being exported to Japan.
How perhaps will the U.S. earnings start to show the impact of Trump's tariffs?
Well, I think from the Treasury's perspective, they've already shown some decent increases in tariff revenue, but we have seen very little effect on corporate America or on consumer prices. So I think that this fear mongering that was communicated by many in the media and many of the president's critics back in April has not really materialized. And this is the same thing that happened in the first term. We had significant increases in tariff revenues, and yet little to no inflation and little to no effects on the trade with the countries that we had tariffs on, notably China. So I think a lot of this was just over concern or a bit of fear mongering about tariffs or about the reshaping the trade agreements. And I think that's important to keep in mind, is that the outcomes of tariffs are not nearly as detrimental as some of his real critics were arguing. So we've seen very little inflation, or actually inflation is down. We are seeing very little effect on corporate earnings. I think the only thing I would be concerned about is decision making. If there's uncertainty as to what the final outcome will be and what the percentage, the tariff levels will be, it's difficult for investment managers and CFOs, CIOs to make decisions without some certainty.
Right, Mr. Swenson, thank you so much for joining us here on Race to Power.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.